Now we are going to discuss multi-dimensional arrays. So far we have discussed single dimensional or 1D arrays. Okay, so the arrays only had one dimension. The first element was at index 0, then 1, 2, 3 and so on. But we can have arrays with 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions and so on. For example, a 2D array looks like a matrix. Okay, so it has a number of rows and a number of columns. So it is row 1, 0, row 1, row 2. And this is column 0, column 1, column 2. So the first element is 0, 0, row 0, column 0. Second element is 0, 1. Okay, row 0, column 1. Then 0, 2. 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. Similarly, we can have 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional and so on arrays of any dimensions. But we commonly use 1-dimensional or 2-dimensional arrays. 3 or more dimensional arrays are difficult to handle because they occupy very large space. Okay. So here is an example of a 2D array. So 2D array contains two subscripts, one for the number of rows and other for the number of columns. So here we are creating a two-dimensional array num, and num has got 3 rows, row 0, row 1, row 2, and it has got 4 columns. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And how can we enter the values in this two-dimensional array? We can use two for loops for this. So here for t equal to 0 to 3 means t is varying across the rows. So initially it is in row 0, then row 1, row 2. And for each row I is varying from 0 to 3. So for each row it is going across all the columns. So for example, initially t is 0. Initially t is 0. So we will go here. And here we have another for loop. So initially I is 0. So num ti means num 0, 0 is equal to t into 4, that is 0 into 4 plus I plus 1. So it will be equal to 1. Okay. Then I will be incremented, I will become 1. So num at 0, 1 will be equal to t into 4 plus I plus 1, that is 2. Okay. Then I will become 2, 0, 2. Num at 0, 2 will be equal to 0 into 4 plus I plus 1, that is 3. So in this way we are filling these values 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I equal to 3. Okay, then after the completion of this for loop, we will go to the outer loop. Outer loop will change from 0 to 1 now. And for all these values, I will vary from 0 to 1, 2, 3. So for example, now num 1, 0 will be equal to 1 into 4 plus 0 plus 1. So it will be equal to 4. So 4, 5, 6, 7, in this way these values will be filled. Okay. Then t will become 2. Then num 2, 0 will be calculated. So it will be equal to 2 into 4 plus 0 plus 1, that is 2 into 4. It will be 9. And here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In this way, this loop is working. And in the similar fashion, we can print these values. For t equal to 0, t less than 3, t plus plus, I equal to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus, we are printing the values. Okay. So the outer loop is for rows and the inner loop is for columns. Okay. When passing the array to a function. Now the next question is how to pass arrays, 2D arrays to the function. So when we are passing the arrays to the function, multi-dimensional arrays to the function, each dimension of the array should be declared in both the function prototype and function definition. For example, you are passing a 2D array, int a33. Then in the function prototype, you must write all the dimensions. So here this array is having, so this array is having 2 dimensions. So we must write, suppose func is the name of the function, int a. So here we are mentioning the 2 dimensions. If the array is 3-dimensional, you must have 3 dimensions or 3 subscripts, right? In both the function definition and the function prototype. The first dimension does not need a number. So when you have 2-dimensional array, the first dimension does not need a number, just like single-dimensional arrays. Like in the example we did in the previous lecture, for passing a single-dimensional array, we just wrote int member and we left it blank. Why? Because the compiler only needs to load the base address. Okay, this can be left blank. We will pass another variable, size, which will tell that how much this member spans. Okay, so we do not need to mention the dimension, the size here. Okay, so similarly, when you are passing 2D arrays, you do not need to mention all the dimensions. Let us see how. Suppose we have n by 3 array. Okay, n means there are n number of rows and in each row there are 3 columns. So this array is located in memory in a sequence 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. So this is the first row. Then 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. This is the second row and so on. So the compiler, if the compiler knows the number of columns, which is 3, so what the compiler needs to know in this case, the compiler does not need to know the number of rows. It can be skipped, but it needs to know the number of columns in each row, because it will put the first element of the first row 0, 0 at the first memory location, then the first element of the second row. Suppose this is the array. So this is the first element of the first row. It will be put at location 0, 1, 2, 3. And then the first element of the second row, that is 1, 0, it will be put at location 4th. Okay, so this is the first location. This means index 0 and index 1, index 2, index 3. At index 3, it will be 0, 0. At index 3, it will be 1, 0. And then 2, 0, where it will be put? It will be put at the 7th location. The first element of the third row on the 7th location. Okay, so 3, 4, 5 at index 6. Okay, so compiler only needs to know how many columns are there in each row. It does not need to know how many rows are there. Okay, so without the number of columns, the compiler is not able to organize memory for the array. So we need to tell the compiler how many number of columns are there, but this is not required. The number of rows can be skipped. Okay, this is not required. So here we see an example of a multi-dimensional array. So here is the function declaration, void print, and it is a 2-dimensional array. We can see there are 2 dimensions, and the first dimension contains the number of rows. As I said, it is not compulsory. Okay, but we need to know how many columns are there in each row. Okay, so this is compulsory. Then we are passing 2 integers. Okay, and in the main function, what are we doing? We are creating a variable x, and then we are initializing an array 1. Okay, so what is the array size? Array size is 2, 3. means it is having 2 rows, 0, 1 and 3 columns, 0, 1 and 2. And what are the values here? The values are, how can we initialize a multi-dimensional or two-dimensional array using this kind of notation? Okay, so what are we doing here? We are having the outer curly braces for the entire array, and we are having the inner curly braces for each row. So these inner curly braces tell us the elements in the first row. So elements in the first row are 1, 2 and 3, and these curly braces delimit the elements in the second row. Elements in the second row are 4, 5 and 6. Okay, and then we are creating another array, array 2, 3, whose name is array 2. So it is also similar, contains the same number of rows and same number of columns, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. But here we are not using the inner and outer curly braces, we are using only single curly braces. So how is it able to fill these 6 elements, but we have specified only 4 elements here? If you do not know the answer, wait for some time. I will show it while I will be implementing it in code blocks. Okay. For the time being, let us see how to pass these two arrays to the function. So the function name is print. In the first statement we are passing array 1. In the second statement we are passing array 2. And these are the sizes, or these are the number of rows, these are the number of columns. Okay. And so here we go to the print function, and in the print function declarator, this can be empty, but this here we are mentioning the number of columns in each row. Okay, and these are the first and second dimensions of the arrays. It means first dimension means number of rows and second dimension means number of columns. Okay, and we have two loops. The I loop runs from 0 to less than first, means less than number of rows, and the J loop runs from 0 to less than second. It means the less than the number of columns, and we are displaying this. Okay, now let us see how this is working in code blocks. Let me include the header files also. Okay, so we are ready to run it. Let me remove this statement. Okay. So it is giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for array 1. Okay. But for array 2, what is happening? Array 2 had no inner and outer curly braces. Okay. So the compiler is expecting 6 elements, but we are giving it 4 elements. So it will put these 4 elements. Let's go back to the presentation. So what it is doing? It is expecting 6 elements. So it will allocate space for 6 elements. But when you use only single braces, opening and closing braces, so the compiler will start allocating the first element to index 0, 0, second element to index 0, 1, third element to index 0, 2, then fourth element to index 1, 0, and after that we have no elements, but we have allocated space, so these will be initialized to 0. Okay. So we have seen how to pass multidimensional arrays to functions, how to initialize multidimensional arrays using initializer lists. So we have seen both the methods. First method using inner and outer curly braces, and second method using only the outer curly braces, right? So next is how to calculate the size of a 2D array. In case of the 2D array, we have this formula. So the number of bytes equal to size of first index multiplied by size of second index multiplied by size of each element, that is the size of the base type. Okay, so if you have an array with dimensions 10, 5, means you have 10 rows and 5 columns. So you have totally 50 elements. And the size of each element is 4 bytes. So 50 into 4 is equal to 2000 is the size of the array, right? So next is array of 2 or more dimensions and pointers. So assuming that A is an array whose size is 10 by 10. So A is a 10 by 10 array, means it has 10 rows and 10 columns. Then these two statements are equivalent. You can write the name of the array. It means it is the address of the first element, that is address of the element 0, 0. And you can also write it like ampersand A 0, 0. Both the statements are same. And furthermore, the element 0, 4 can be referenced in two ways. We can access the element 0, 4 either by array indexing, as we normally do, or by the pointer indexing. So what are we doing here? We are writing A0. We want to reach 0, 4. So means in the row 0 and column 4. So 0 row, column 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we want to reach here. Okay. So how many elements we have to jump? We have to jump, we are here. Okay. In order to reach here, we have to jump 4 elements. So A plus 4. What A plus 4 will cause? A plus 4 will cause us to jump from the base address to the address of the element at index 4. So if the integers occupy 2 bytes, we will go to 1008. Okay. And then what is this int star? Int star means we are typecasting. We are converting the value which we are getting to an int star. Int star means we are converting it to a pointer to an integer. We are converting this to address of an integer. Okay. Sometimes this is compulsory because the compiler can give an error if you are not typecasting. Otherwise, you can do it without writing this cast. Okay. And then lastly, what are we doing? We are putting a star here. Star means the value at this address. Okay. So similarly, the element 1, 2 is either A12 or A plus 12. Why A plus 12? Because 1, 2 means the element is in the first row. Okay, this is the 0th row, this is the first row. Okay, and how many elements are in the 0th row? In the 0th row, there are 10 elements. Okay, and here you want to access the second element of the first row. So in order to access the second element, how many elements you have to jump? You have to jump element 0 and element 1. And here is the elements 2. So in total, how many elements you have to jump? You have to jump 12 elements. That is why we are writing 12 here. So whatever value we get after this arithmetic, we will convert it into an integer address, and then we are accessing the value at that address. Okay. And in general, for any two-dimensional array AJK, we can write it as A plus j multiplied by row length plus k. Okay, j multiplied by row length means, here in the above example, j was 1. J was 1 means we are in the first row. Okay, we have already passed the zeroth row. So how many elements are in the zeroth row? In the zeroth row there are 10 elements. That is why we are multiplying it by row length. Okay, so if j, suppose j is 5 here, it means you want to go to the fifth row. So how many rows are you passing? You are passing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Okay, so 5 rows you are passing. That is why you multiply it by the value of j. And each element contains row length elements. Okay, each row contains 10 elements. Row length can be any value. In this particular example, the row length is 10. That is why we are multiplying it by 10. Otherwise, you can multiply it by any value. And plus k. K means how many elements you want to jump in the present row. So if the present row is fifth row and you want to access element 5, 6. Okay. So in the present row, how many elements are before 6? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 elements. That is why we are adding k here. Okay. So this value will be added to A. So we will reach the element where you want to go, and we will typecast it, and then we will access the value at that address. The cast of the pointer to the cast of the pointer to array into a pointer to its base type is necessary. Initially, this is a pointer to an array. A is a pointer to an array, but we are converting it into pointer to a base type, pointer to an integer, for example, because otherwise the pointer arithmetic will not operate properly. Okay, and pointers are sometimes used to access arrays because pointer arithmetic is often faster than array indexing, right? So this is about the arrays, and here are the references for this chapter.